What if birds had trunks? If birds had trunks, it would likely have a significant impact on their physical appearance, behavior, and evolution. Firstly, the addition of a trunk would likely alter the shape and balance of the bird's body, potentially affecting its ability to fly and maneuver in the air. Birds with trunks would likely have to adapt their wing structure and flight patterns to accommodate the added weight and balance. Secondly, the trunk could serve a variety of functions, such as feeding, grooming, and communication. Depending on the shape and size of the trunk, birds may be able to reach different types of food sources and engage in new forms of communication with their own species and other animals. Finally, the addition of a trunk could have an impact on the evolution of birds over time. Depending on the environmental pressures and advantages conferred by the trunk, birds with trunks may be more or less likely to survive and reproduce, leading to new adaptations and evolutionary changes. Of course, it's important to note that birds do not have trunks in nature, and this is purely hypothetical. However, it's interesting to consider the potential implications of such a dramatic physical adaptation in a species. If birds had trunks, there could be some potential benefits and challenges for them, depending on the specific traits of the trunk. Here are some additional considerations. Feeding. The trunk could enable birds to reach food sources that they couldn't reach before, such as fruit hanging high in trees. However, if the trunk is too large or cumbersome, it could make it difficult for birds to fly and could limit their range and access to food. Communication. Depending on the shape and size of the trunk, it could allow birds to produce new vocalizations and communicate with each other in different ways. For example, the trunk could be used to produce low-frequency sounds that carry over long distances, which could be useful for communication in dense forests or other habitats with limited visibility. Social behavior. If the trunk is flexible, it could be used in social interactions between birds, such as grooming, preening, or other forms of physical contact. However, if the trunk is too stiff or inflexible, it could limit the bird's ability to engage in these types of behaviors. Predation. Depending on the size and shape of the trunk, it could make birds more or less vulnerable to predation. For example, a large, cumbersome trunk could make it more difficult for birds to escape predators, while a small, agile trunk could be used for defense or distraction. Overall, the addition of a trunk could have a range of impacts on bird behavior, ecology, and evolution. It's difficult. Another potential impact of birds having trunks is that it could change their relationships with other species. For example, mutualism. If the trunk enables birds to access food sources that other animals can't reach, it could create new mutualistic relationships between birds and other species. For example, birds with trunks could feed on nectar from flowers that other pollinators can't reach, potentially benefiting both the bird and the plant. Competition. On the other hand, if the trunk allows birds to compete with other species for the same resources, it could lead to new forms of competition and potentially affect the populations of other species. Parasitism. Depending on the shape and size of the trunk, it could also make birds more or less susceptible to parasitism by other species. For example, a trunk with a small opening could be more susceptible to infestation by parasites, while a trunk with a thick, armored exterior could be more resistant. Coevolution. Finally, the addition of a trunk could lead to coevolutionary interactions between birds and other species, as animals evolve new adaptations to interact with each other. For example, plants could evolve structures that are specifically adapted to be pollinated by birds with trunks, or predators could evolve new tactics for preying on birds with these unique features. It's important to note that the addition of a trunk is a highly hypothetical scenario and is unlikely to occur naturally in birds. However, thinking about how such a dramatic change could impact bird behavior and ecology can provide insights into the complex relationships between species and the effects of physical adaptations on the natural world. Another potential impact of birds having trunks is the effect it could have on their mating behavior. Depending on the size and shape of the trunk, it could influence how birds choose mates and engage in courtship behaviors. For example, if the trunk is brightly colored or patterned, it could be used in displays to attract mates, similar to the way that birds use their feathers or other physical features. Alternatively, the trunk could be used in physical courtship rituals, such as tapping or rubbing trunks together. The addition of a trunk could also affect mate selection and sexual competition between individuals. For example, if some individuals have larger or more elaborate trunks than others, they may have a competitive advantage in attracting mates. This could lead to the evolution of new adaptations in both males and females to compete for and attract mates. On the other hand, the trunk could also present challenges for mating and reproduction. If the trunk is too large or cumbersome, it could make it difficult for birds to mate or lay eggs. This could create a selective pressure for smaller, more streamlined trunks that are better adapted to reproduction. Overall, the addition of a trunk could have complex effects on bird mating behavior and reproductive success, depending on the specific traits of the trunk and the competitive dynamics between individuals. Thanks for watching.
Are you curious about something? If there is anything you would like to know, let me know in the comment section below. Let's learn together. If you like the video, don't forget to subscribe for more information. Thanks for watching.